Electro. Max Dillon didn't start out as a madman. He was a utility line repairman, just a regular guy trying to make a living until one day, a freak lightning strike hit him while he was working on a power line. Instead of frying him, the bolt turned him into a walking superconductor. Dillon could now control electricity, shoot lightning bolts, and zap through power lines like Wi-Fi. What did he do with it? Rob a bank? Challenge the Avengers? Nope. He decided the world owed him applause. He wanted recognition, fame, applause. His deepest desire was for people to know his name. So, after gaining his powers, he immediately designed a bright green and yellow costume and stormed into the world. Not to save it, not even to destroy it, but to become famous for being dangerous. He once hijacked a television station just to announce himself as Electro, demanding airtime like a shock jockey with superpowers. Spider-Man didn't fight a criminal mastermind. He fought an insecure guy with a lightning ego problem. Even worse, Dillon constantly blames everyone else for his failures. He thinks society overlooked him, bosses disrespected him, and that people like Spider-Man cheated him out of being celebrated. It's never his fault, just a lifelong tantrum dressed in static electricity. Writers tried to evolve him over the years, but his core stayed the same: bitter, self-absorbed, and still clinging to the idea that notoriety is the same thing as respect. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, they turned it up to 11. Jamie Foxx's version was a socially invisible nobody who idolized Spider-Man until he felt ignored. That's all it took. One bad day, one public snub, and Electro went full villain. Not for revenge, not for money, just for the spotlight. He wasn't a terrorist. Let's say he was a live wire with a fanbase fantasy. And somehow, the more voltage he had, the more pathetic his motive became. The Riddler. Edward Nygma had everything going for him: high IQ, photographic memory, and a knack for puzzles that could tie your brain in knots. He could have been a cybersecurity legend, or at least a professional game show hustler. Instead, he became the Riddle, because solving things wasn't enough. He needed people to know he solved them, and if no one asked, he'd create a crime scene just to show off. His entire villain career is one long flex. Nygma commits crimes, leaves clues behind, and dares Batman to figure them out. Not because it helps him escape, but because he wants to prove he's smarter. He breaks the law just to prove a point, not even a meaningful point, just look how clever I am. A genius who needs applause before he breathes. Interestingly, he wins sometimes, sets up elaborate schemes, traps Gotham's finest, ties Batman in mental knots. Then he ruins it by mailing a postcard that says, "Guess what I'm doing next?" He can't help himself. It's not even a compulsion anymore. Writers have spent decades trying to make him threatening. They gave him darker reboots, psychological depth, and in The Batman 2022, they turned him into a Zodiac-style online radical. Even then, his big evil plan came with puzzles, because deep down he isn't looking to destroy Gotham. He wants a high five from Batman, or at least a good job, sport. In his debut way back in Detective Comics number 140, 1948, he rigged a puzzle contest just to feel smart. That was his origin story. Not loss, not trauma, just raw ego wrapped in a question mark suit. He's one of the few villains who regularly gets arrested by his own evidence, and he's proud of it. The Mandarin. In the comics, the Mandarin was Iron Man's ultimate nemesis. 10 alien rings, genius intellect, martial arts skills that could drop a tank. He was ruthless, powerful, and dangerous on a global scale. Then Iron Man 3 happened, and the Mandarin became a guy named Trevor from Liverpool who really liked beer and foot massages. This version of the Mandarin was nothing more than a stage prop, an out-of-work actor hired by a corrupt weapons manufacturer to play a fake terrorist on camera. His job? Record-threatening videos, speak in cryptic monologues, and look menacing on TV. Behind the scenes, he was blackout drunk, clueless about real events, and literally being bribed with drugs and women. That's not a warlord, that's a walking rehab ad. Marvel set him up like he was going to be a terrifying villain. The trailers made him look like Osama bin Laden crossed with Darth Vader. Then fans got to the theater and watched Tony Stark break into a mansion, find Trevor in a bathrobe, and realize the entire thing was fake. No superpowers, no mastermind plan, just a confused guy wondering when lunch was. The backlash hit hard. Fans felt scammed. The Mandarin was supposed to be Iron Man's Joker, iconic, brutal, and unstoppable. Instead, the movie turned him into a comedy sketch with a fake accent and a fake agenda. Marvel tried to clean it up later. They released a short film revealing that the real Mandarin was out there, angry about being impersonated. Then, in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, they gave us Xu Wenwu, an actual threat. But even he spent time mocking the old Trevor version, who somehow survived the retcon and was still tagging along like a lost theater kid. He redefined what it means to completely fumble an icon. All he wanted was a drink and a comeback role. What he got was a spot in Marvel history, right next to the dancing Spider-Man meme. Black Manta. He didn't start off as Aquaman's nemesis. In fact, in his earliest appearances, his backstory barely existed. He was just a guy in a sleek black suit with bug-eyed goggles, shooting laser beams underwater like it was his day job. Then DC gave him a motive, and that's where things got weird. In the 1960s, Black Manta's goal was to create an underwater utopia for black people where he would rule. That version didn't land well and was quietly dropped. Years later, writers hit the reset button and gave him a new reason to hate Aquaman: revenge. Because in a botched rescue attempt, Aquaman accidentally killed Black Manta's father. That's the moment everything snapped. From then on, David Hyde dedicated his life to making Aquaman suffer. No world domination, no grand ideology, just an eternal blood feud fueled by rage. And this wasn't a one-time attack. Manta made it personal for decades. He killed Aquaman's son. He hunted him across oceans. Every time he got beaten, he came back angrier, meaner, and somehow with an even bigger helmet. His entire existence became an underwater grudge match. In every comic, every reboot, Black Manta shows up with new tech, new weapons, and the exact same objective: hurt Arthur Curry. It doesn't matter if the world is ending or the ocean is on fire. He'll drop everything for another round of submarine beef. In the 2018 Aquaman movie, his motive was kept simple. His dad dies, he blames Aquaman, and suddenly he's welding a supersuit and trying to laser a man to death. He's charming, intense, and carries every scene he's in. But that motive still boils down to, you let my dad die, now I'm building death rays. He has top-tier gear, military training, and access to Atlantean technology. He could have been a revolutionary. Instead, he chose to be the ocean's most bitter son. All because one man didn't throw him a life raft fast enough. Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne was the original parasocial nightmare. A scientist from the 25th century, Thawne idolized Barry Allen. He studied him, worshipped him, even replicated the accident that gave Barry his powers. Then one day, he traveled back in time to finally meet his hero. It didn't go well. Barry didn't give him the validation he expected. In some versions, Barry barely acknowledged him. That was enough to flip the switch. Thawne went from starstruck to homicidal in record time. He dedicated his entire life and multiple timelines to destroying the Flash's legacy, not beating him in a fair fight, not taking over the world, just making Barry Allen suffer. Thawne's methods are cartoonishly spiteful. He once traveled back in time to murder Barry's mom just to ruin his childhood. He framed Barry for crimes, erased his friends, and rewrote history so often it broke the multiverse. He didn't just hate the Flash. He wanted to be the reason everything in Barry's life went wrong. The pettiness is unmatched. In Flashpoint, Thawne mocks Barry mid-apocalypse, bragging that he didn't kill anyone this time. He just let Barry ruin the world by saving his mom. Then he stands there smiling as reality collapses because watching Barry lose is better than winning anything himself. Even his famous quote, "I'm the reverse of everything you stand for," sounds deep until you realize he's just saying, "You're my hero, and I hate that." On the Flash TV show, his villainy reaches soap opera levels. He steals lives, swaps bodies, and somehow keeps finding ways to haunt Barry across every season. Like a time-traveling ghost with abandonment issues, he's a rejected fan with super speed and zero chill. The guy broke time out of pure emotional damage. No plan, no throne, just decades of sprinting through history to make sure Barry Allen never has a good day again. Lex Luthor. He doesn't want your money. He already has it. He doesn't want fame either. His name is on buildings in every major DC city. Lex wants one thing: a world where Superman doesn't exist. Not because Superman's evil, not because he's a threat, because Lex can't stand the idea that someone's better than him. In early comics, he blamed Superman for making him bald. Yes, that was real. A lab accident during a Superboy visit torched Lex's hair, and he swore revenge from that day forward. That motive eventually got buried, but it set the tone. Lex takes everything personally. Every loss, every setback, every Kryptonian breath in his direction. Modern versions go deeper. Lex believes that humanity should rise on its own without alien help, but that noble mission gets buried under layers of ego. He funds science, politics, even space programs, just to one-up Superman. When that fails, he builds billion-dollar mech suits and starts throwing punches himself. He once ran for president. He's teamed up with Brainiac. He's created clones. At one point, he even became Superman in DC's Rebirth continuity, wearing the S-Shield himself, trying to prove he could be the better version of what Krypton sent. Even when he tries to be good, it's for the wrong reasons. In Batman v Superman, his motive becomes a stew of theology and daddy issues. He sees Superman as a god that needs to be brought down by any means necessary. He creates Doomsday, manipulates Batman, and spends more time quoting philosophers than explaining anything coherently. He He has the brains to cure disease, end hunger, colonize Mars. Instead, he's stuck in an endless pissing contest with a man who just wants to help people. Mojo. Mojo runs an entire dimension powered by ratings. That's not a metaphor. He literally rules a place called the Mojoverse, where political power depends on viewership numbers and war crimes double as live entertainment. He looks like a melted blob of expired yogurt strapped to a hover chair, and somehow, he's still one of the most powerful beings in the X-Men universe. All because people can't stop watching. This guy's whole motive is broadcasting chaos. He kidnaps heroes, throws them into gladiator-style death matches, and forces them to fight for the audience's amusement. Think of it like American Ninja Warrior if contestants could actually die, and the host was a psychotic blob yelling into a floating GoPro. His obsession with ratings makes him one of the most dangerous and bizarre villains in Marvel. He doesn't want to conquer Earth. He wants to syndicate it, and when the views dip, he rewrites reality mid-show. Whole timelines get re-edited, characters rebooted, and mutants recast. The only thing Mojo's more committed to than destruction is content delivery. Introduced in the 1980s, he was designed as a brutal satire of the entertainment industry. Greedy execs, shallow programming, fame obsession, and somehow that parody aged like prophecy. He's got live streams, propaganda, influencer culture, and mass manipulation, all jammed into one greasy nightmare that would absolutely thrive on TikTok. He once trapped the X-Babies, yes, infant versions of the X-Men, in a kids show just to milk advertising revenue. Another time, he rebooted entire storylines just to keep viewers engaged. Every fight he starts is engineered for audience reactions. Every attack is a spectacle. He doesn't even have real enemies. He just has casting problems. Calendar Man. Julian Day doesn't want money. He doesn't care about power. He doesn't even care about Batman, at least not in the usual let me destroy you way. Calendar Man just really likes dates. Holidays, anniversaries, historical events. If it's on a calendar, he's ready to murder someone for it. His crimes are scheduled down to the hour. Valentine's Day, April Fool's, Arbor Day, it doesn't matter how minor the occasion is, he'll turn it into a crime scene. And when he's caught, he'll deliver a monologue about lunar phases or the origin of Flag Day like it's Shakespeare. Every act of violence is planned for maximum thematic consistency. He's less of a supervillain and more of a serial killer with a Google Calendar addiction. He first appeared in 1958 wearing a rotating costume that changed with the seasons. One of them included giant butterfly wings. That version didn't last. Later writers tried to make him scarier by giving him Hannibal Lecter energy, quiet, calculating, cryptic, but the core stayed the same, murder with a decorative flair. In Batman, The Long Halloween, he's locked up in Arkham, giving Batman clues about a new killer, only because he's jealous someone else is doing themed crimes better than him. That's how petty he is. The guy's not even in the game, but he still wants credit for inspiring it. He's been rebooted dozens of times, sometimes serious, sometimes laughable. In one version, he tattoos the calendar on his body and peels off the dates as he kills. In another, he's reduced to a joke villain Batman takes down off-panel between real threats. He once got beaten by Robin before the opening credits rolled. He's scary because he thinks he's a genius, and then plans a triple homicide around Groundhog Day. There are bad guys with weapons, powers, armies. Julian Day has a planner, a sharp tie, and a vendetta against the passage of time. So now that we've exposed the pettiest, weirdest, and straight-up lamest motives in villain history, now to you, if these guys got therapy instead of origin stories, which one do you think would have actually made the best hero? Comment below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.